Today's class will be along the lines of Friday's class, a gentler class. And as we move into certain poses that we hold, we'll tend to hold those poses just a little bit longer. As we move into um, a sequence of poses that constitute kind of a flow, we'll take those flows slowly and intentionally. We'll do a little extra work on core today. And before we get started, I just want to mention we often think of core as meaning our abdominal muscles, but the core really encompasses muscles that go all the way around the body, including on the sides and back, and muscles that are very deep, and especially muscles that help support the spine behind us. So as we work today, we'll do a few things that will work muscles on the side and especially muscles in the back. While you're standing, close your eyes. Let everything relax. Focus on the breath. Give your attention to the air as it comes into your nostrils, fills the belly. And as the belly contracts and that air flows past the chest and out the nose. I want you to take several deep breaths where you inhale completely and fully through the nose, filling the belly, the chest, making the lungs fill up with air. And where you exhale rather quickly through the mouth. So your inhale might be a long, full inhale. And your exhale, blow it out, empty all the air. Take 4 breaths like that. And after the 4th one, you can return to normal breathing. If your eyes are closed, open them. Let's do a little bit of warm up of our joints. Send the arms out long and open and close the fingers. Make sure those hands are nice and limber to hold our snow shovels. Or to get the money from our wallet as we pay the boy from down the street to clear our driveways. Let the fists close lightly, begin to rotate the wrists. And change the direction of the rotation. Let the fists come to stillness. Extend the fingers out long. Begin to bend and straighten the elbows. Let the arms come back down to the sides. Shoulders come up, back and down, up, back and down, up, back and down, up, back and down. Begin to twist at the torso, turning from side to side, letting the arms loose, loosening the spine, warming up those core muscles. Consider letting the arms rise up. That will probably extend the distance you twist from one side to the other. Come to stillness. Let the arms come back down to the side. Extend the left foot out on the heel. Toes are up. Hands might come to hips. That might improve balance. Whatever works for you this morning for your balance. Begin to open and close the toes. Now lift that foot off the mat and begin to rotate the ankle. Change the direction of your rotation. Then bend and straighten your knee. And bring that foot back to the mat. Other side, let's put the weight into the left foot. Right leg extends onto the heel. The toes are up. Open and close the toes. Let's lift that foot up off the floor. Rotate the ankle. You might want to be close to a wall or hold onto a chair. Change the direction of your rotation. Let that come to stillness and begin to bend and straighten your knee. And let that foot come back down. All right, hands down by the hips, arms straight down. We're standing in our mountain pose. Arms come up, palms come together. We're going to interlace our fingers and point the pointer finger up toward the ceiling. Pointer fingers together. We're going to do a side bend to the left. Feeling a stretch over the right side of the body. Now come back and bring the palms together. Turn the palms away and fold forward, bending the knees deeply in your forward fold, relaxing the head and neck. Pull the elbows up toward the ceiling. Then release the hands back down to the mat into our forward fold. Reverse your swan dive, come all the way up. Palms come together. Fingers interlace. Pointer fingers point toward the ceiling. And we bend over to the right. Feeling a stretch in the left side. Come straight back up. Let the palms come back together. Turn the palms away. Fold forward. Bend the knees deeply. Let the head and neck be loose. Bring the elbows up toward the ceiling in our grasshopper pose. Feel the pull in the shoulder muscles as you do that. Release the hands back down to the mat. Reverse your swan dive. Come all the way up. Palms come together. And then the hands come to heart center. From the top of your mat, let's let the hands come by the sides. Arms come up, palms come together. Hands come to heart center. Hands down by the sides, arms come up, palms come together. Palms turn away, we fold forward. This time, plant the hands and rock down to the knees into tabletop. Let the hips shift back toward the heels. And then swing around, coming onto your back. Now take a moment while you're here on your back to feel those parts of the body that are making contact with the mat. And make sure all of those places are relaxed, soft, being pulled down into the mat. Give your attention to your low back, that curved part of the spine that raises up off the mat just a little bit. And pull that part of the curved part of the back flat down into the mat. It's a very small movement. Now, we're going to move through a little flow here where we're going to exhale and let the back release. Inhale, pull the back to the mat. Exhale, release. Inhale, pull that spine down against the mat. Now, as you do this, one of the things you might notice is that as you pull the back down into the mat, the stomach contracts, it gets tighter. It's as if the belly button is pulling in toward the spine. And that's what I want to give your attention to. You give your attention to as you continue through this motion. I want you to pull that stomach in really tight, extra tight, as you put your back flat into the mat. And then when you release, everything relaxes. As the back pulls into the mat, the stomach gets tight, and then we release. 2 more times. Pull that back into the mat, tightening the stomach, releasing, and 1 more. Great. Okay, we're going to move through some flowing bridge poses. Bend your knees, bring your feet flat to the mat. Arms are by the sides, hands are down so that the fingers are pretty close to the heels. Now, before we get started, check to make sure that your knees are about hips width distance apart. And as we move through the bridge poses here, our flowing bridge, try and give your attention to the knees and don't let those knees fall apart, come away from each other as you do flying bridge. Do what you need to do to keep those knees close together, hips width distance. All right, here we go. We're going to slowly begin to lift the hips up off the mat, pushing weight into the feet, raising the arms, bringing the arms all the way overhead so the backs of the hands come to the floor right about the time the hips hit their highest point. Now you notice that we did that fairly slowly. We want the muscles of the body to move us through our flowing bridge, not our momentum. As we exhale, we begin to let the hips sink back down, the arms come up, hands come back to the floor, and the hips of the hands hit the mat at about the same time. Again, our hips rise up, arms come overhead, backs of the hands hit the floor right about the time the hips get to their highest point. And then we'll flow back down. Hips and hands come back to the ground, back to the mat, in concert with each other. 1 more flowing bridge. Up we go. Hands come up, hips rise, arms stretch long. And we release and come all the way back down. Very good. Okay. Now, I want you to put your hands behind your head with your fingers interlaced. And in the next 2 movements that we make, the next 2 flows that we go through, I'm going to invite you at some point to raise your shoulders and elbows and head off the mat. Now, be careful. I don't want you to do a crunch. So you're not going to do this where you're really curling up and maybe pulling the elbows forward. What you're going to do instead is just come up off the mat a little bit, keeping the elbows really wide. So it's not a crunch, okay? Cross the right ankle over the left thigh, just above the knee. Now, you can stay here. This is perfectly good, but I'd like you to try and raise that left foot off the mat a little bit, and then let it sink back down to the mat. See if you can raise that foot off the mat again. And you'll notice when you do that, there is this tightening of the stomach muscles. Release. Foot lifts off. Release. I find so often in yoga that the poses and movements that work the stomach muscles, the abdominal muscles, can be very challenging. Raise that foot up again. I like this one because it's not real strenuous, but it still gives those muscles a good workout. Release. And you can control how much exertion you make your core muscles use by how high you lift your foot. This time, as you lift your foot up, I'm going to invite you to raise your head and neck up and shoulders up off the mat just a little bit, not a crunch, and everything goes down. Let's do two more like that. Foot comes up, and shoulders come up, elbows stay wide and down. Last one, foot comes up, and shoulders come up and down. All right, right foot comes back to the mat. We take a couple deep breaths and cross the left ankle over the right thigh. Let's begin by simply raising the right foot up off the mat and down. Don't forget to breathe while you're doing this. Right foot up off the mat. You might find that one side you can raise the foot higher than the other. It might be more flexible, not unusual. Release. Right foot off the mat. Feel that crunch in the stomach. I shouldn't say crunch. Feel that tightness in the stomach. And down. Let's try three with the head and shoulders up off the mat. Foot comes up, head and shoulders are up off the mat. And down. Again, foot comes up, head and shoulders. Raising the head and shoulders makes the stomach muscles work a little harder. And down. Last one, up, here we go. And down, very good. Left foot finds the mat. Now we're going to move through some yogic bicycling, and you can control the amount of work the stomach has to do by the distance that you extend out each foot. And you'll see that in a moment. First, bend the knees, raise the bottom parts of the legs up so they're parallel with the mat, and then begin to, with the right foot, send the right foot out and circle it back. Now, try that again with the right foot, but don't go very far, just a little bit, circle it back. You might notice that requires less effort on the part of the stomach muscles. Left leg goes out, circles back. Now try that again with a much smaller extension, not just a little bit, circles back. So you decide how far you want each foot to go as you do this motion. Right foot out and back. Left foot out and back. Now make sure you're breathing here. Inhale as the foot goes out. Exhale as it comes back in. Inhale out. Exhale in. Right foot. Left foot. And you notice we're not doing this too fast. This is a slow ride. Now, let's try two on each side with the shoulders and head raised up a little bit, not in a crunch, but just a little bit off the mat. Raising the head will have a tendency to make the stomach work a little harder. Final one, right side, left side. Very good. Okay. Oh, feel that working my stomach already. Let's hug the knees into the chest. I want to invite you this morning to cross the right ankle over the left. Pull those knees back. And if it's in your practice, if it's in your reach, if everything's flexible enough, you can either hold the knees or you might grasp the feet and pull the feet in toward the shoulders and the chest. But if that's not in your practice this morning, that's okay. You just hang on to those knees. If you'd like, while you're here, you might want to massage the spine by gently rocking side to side. Now, release the legs and cross the left ankle over the right. Once again, you can pull up on the knees, or if it's in your practice this morning, you can reach the feet and pull those feet back. So you're pulling the feet back toward the shoulders. And again, if you'd like, you can rock gently side to side to massage the low back. and release everything. Bring the feet down to the mat. Take just a moment to take 2 of those deep breaths where you inhale completely through the nose, filling the belly, and exhale through the mouth rather forcefully. Very good. Roll over onto your left side and spin up and around into tabletop. Make sure your wrists are under your shoulders and your knees are under your hips. Let's start by stretching the toes and the bottoms of the feet. Flip the feet around so you're on the toes, and then begin to sink the hips back. You can sink them back as far as is comfortable for you. You might be in a position where you can actually come somewhat upright and put a little more weight into the backs of the feet this morning. And come back to tabletop. Let's move through some cat-cows here. On an inhale, drop the belly, lift the head into cow pose. Exhale, back arches, head comes down, cat pose. Inhale to cow, belly drops, head lifts. Exhale to cat, back rounds, head comes down. Continue moving through cow and cat, letting your inhale take you to cow and your exhale take you to cat. Move through these 2 poses at a pace that's comfortable for you. And if you find that one of them feels a little better than the other, feel free to hold that a little longer. The next time you move from cat back to neutral, stop. Curl the toes, push the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Now, I want you to put your weight in the left foot and bend the right knee, coming up on the right toes. Then extend the right leg, put the weight in the right foot, bend the left knee, coming up on the left toes. Continue this back and forth motion where one knee drops and the weight goes into the other foot, other leg. Almost like we're walking in place, like a bear. Come to stillness. Drop down to your knees and come down onto your stomachs. Bring your forehead to the mat. Hands come under the shoulders or just a little bit beyond the shoulders. Bring the legs and the big toes together. Push the feet into the mat. Tops of the feet push into the mat and the knees rise up. And you come into low cobra, lifting the head and chest, arching the back and working those back muscles. Very little weight in the hands. And exhale the forehead back down. Relax everything. Once again, push the feet into the mat. Let the shoulders and head come up. Feel the muscles of the low back working. And release. One more time. Push the feet into the mat. Shoulders and head come up. You might choose to raise your hands up off the mat this time to show that there's no weight in them at all. And release. Let's slide back into child's pose. Big toes are together. We're going to push up. Knees come as wide as the mat. Hips sink back down to the heels. Forehead comes to the mat. Arms are out in front, loosely relaxed. We let the whole body just sink into this pose. We let gravity pull us down. We slow down our breathing. We soften the muscles in the face, around the eyes and the jaw. We let the shoulders get loose. Come back up into tabletop. Turn the toes over. Push up and back. Downward facing dog. Look up between the hands and step as many steps as you need to come into forward fold. Your forward fold, let your neck and head relax, shoulders soften, hands are loose, knees bent as much as you need. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, push your feet into the mat, come all the way up. Hands come overhead, palms come together, and then the palms come to heart center. We'll move through a few half sun salutations here. Hands come down by the sides. Arms come up, palms come together. Palms turn away, we fold forward. Bending the knees, relaxing all the muscles in the upper body. Halfway lift on an inhale. Exhale, fold. Reverse our swan dive, come all the way up. Planting our feet firmly into the mat. Hands come together and then to heart center. And the arms come down by the sides. Once more, hands come up, palms come together. Palms turn away, we're going to fold forward. Come up into a half lift, flat back on an inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, push those feet into the mat as we come all the way up and hands come to heart center. Very good. Let's let the hands come down by the sides for a moment and stand in our mountain pose. I want to invite you to close your eyes in mountain pose and just relax. Mountain pose is a pose that's very good for both peace and strength, for relaxation, and for building a good standing foundation. Give your attention to the weight in your feet. Make sure that weight is equally distributed between the 2 feet and between the front of each foot and the back of each foot. The right side of each foot and the left side of each foot. Open your eyes, bring your hands to heart center. Now we're going to move into chair pose so the tailbone sinks down, knees bent, back stays straight. Look down at your toes and make sure you can see all 10 toes. If you can't, you may need to push back a little bit more or actually even come up a little higher. In our chair pose, extend the arms out. If it's in your practice this morning, it may be a little bit too much stress on the body to do this. If that's the case, keep the hands at heart center. Now fold forward, doesn't have to be real fast, and let the arms swing down and back, bringing the hands up so the fingers are kind of pointed back up toward the ceiling. Bring those arms back as far as you can. Then let them drop down to the mat. On an inhale, reverse your swan dive, come all the way up, hands come together, and then hands come to heart center. We're going to sink into chair pose once again. Make sure you can see all 10 toes. See if you can sink down just a little further this time than last time. Oh, I feel it on the knees. but the arms go out high. Fold forward, bring the arms down, sweeping them back behind the body. Hands go up high, fingers point toward the ceiling. Let the hands come back to the mat. Forward fold. Up we come. Hands come up, palms come together. Hands come to heart center. One more time, we'll move through our little chair flow here. We're going to sink down in the chair with our hands together at the heart. See if we can sink a little further than the last time. Oh my gosh, that gets so hard. Arms come up. Oh, I feel the stress on my knees. And I fold forward. Bringing the arms up high behind me. And the hands come back down to the mat. I push into the mat, reverse my swan dive, bring my hands together overhead. Hands come together at heart center, and then down by the sides in my mountain pose. Step in front of my mat. Arms come up, palms come together. I'm going to turn the palms away and fold forward, planting the hands, stepping the right foot back and then the left into high plank. Now, high plank's not for you today. Come down to your knees. That'll be perfectly okay. Let's push the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Right foot up high to the sky. And step that foot through, coming up into our warrior two stance. Now, we're going to start with the feet here. My front foot, in this case, my right foot is pointed toward the front of my mat. My back foot is parallel to the long edge of the mat. And I'm going to bring my hands to heart center and see if I have it in me today to just twist a little bit more to the left. If I do that, my shoulders might be better aligned with the long edge of the mat, and I might feel a little extra stress in this extended front leg. The muscles will pull, and in the knee, that's okay. Once I'm happy with my stance, extend the arms, gaze out over the front fingertips. Now, I can remember for many years when I did Warrior Two, I was really tight. I held my arms rigid. My shoulders were pulling, were tightening. I pushed down into the feet really hard. There should be about equal weight in your feet, by the way. And over time, I learned to relax those shoulders, relax those arms, relax the torso, and only let those parts of the body that needed to be working, to be working. And we're going to go through a little flow here. We're going to flip the front palm up. As we come back up, we're going to straighten the front leg. When we straighten the front leg, this is called a reverse triangle as opposed to reverse warrior. And then we're going to come forward, bringing the right hand down to the right leg in our triangle pose. Left arm can be up high, or it can bind back around the waist, whatever works for you this morning. And then we're going to rise up out of triangle back into our warrior two. We'll move through that flow again. Flip the front palm, straighten the front leg as that palm comes up. This back hand can be down along the back leg, or we can bind. Then we're going to come forward into our triangle pose. Extending the left arm up to the sky, back of the right hand comes to inside of the right leg. And we come back to warrior two. Now we're going to move through this pose one more time, but we're going to hold each of the positions just a little bit longer. Lift the front palm, come back into our reverse warrior. And forward into our reverse triangle, come into our triangle pose. Now your gaze when you're in triangle can be at the floor, which is where I tend to look because it gives me the best balance. It could be out straight ahead, or it could be up at your hand, whatever works for you. Up at the hand can be the most challenging, and it can have a tendency to get you to pull that upper arm back a little bit more. And we come up into warrior two. Bring the hands to the hips. Step the back foot forward into our mountain pose. Arms are by the sides. Hands come up, palms come together. Palms turn away, I fold forward, planting the hands, and either stepping into plank or low plank with the knees down. Flip the feet so you're on the toes, push the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Left leg lifts, left leg steps through. I'm going to change my direction here so my back isn't to you. And I come into warrior two on the other side. Left foot is now in front, left knee is bent. Right foot is parallel to the short edge of the mat. And there's a straight line from my front heel to my back instep. Before we move into our arm position, bring your hands to heart center and see if you have the space to twist to the right just a little bit. That may put a little stress on the front leg. Good thing. Arms come out once we're happy with our foundation. We'll move through our flow here. Front palm flips up. Front leg straightens. Front arm comes up high into our reverse triangle pose. We're going to come forward, bringing the back of the left hand to the inside of the left leg. Right arm extends up, triangle. And back into warrior two. See if you can relax any parts of the body in your warrior two pose. Reverse triangle, palm flips up, front leg straightens, come back up with the left hand high. And then we move into our triangle pose. Remember your options for your gaze. Or straight ahead or up the hand. Back into warrior two. One last time through our sequence where we'll move a little bit more slowly. Hold each position just a little bit longer. Front leg reverse triangle. And into our triangle pose, tilting forward over that front hip. Remember your back arm can be up or it can bind, whatever works for you today. And back into warrior two. Bring your hands to your hips and step to the top of your mat. We'll do a little balance here in tree pose. Now, you might want to be close to a wall or have a chair nearby for some support. That's perfectly okay. You might want to go through as much as tree as you can this morning, and maybe not get completely in the tree. Your toes might stay on the mat. That's okay. I'm going to start with my hands at heart center. You can start in a position that works best for you in terms of balance. I'm going to begin to put my weight into my right leg, right foot. Before I do that, I'm going to lift my right toes off the mat, spread them wide, bring them back down, trying to give myself a little bit bigger base when I stand on that right foot. Left foot raises up onto the toes and the left ankle comes against the right calf. This is great balance just as it is. You're welcome to stay here. Or maybe it's in your practice this morning. You can bring that left foot up against the right calf. You may even have it in you to bring it all the way up to the thigh. And you can experiment with your arm positions. I can move from hands at heart center to arms out or up high. You can feel the effect that will have on your balance as you begin to move through different arm positions. Pull your stomach muscles in tight. We want the core muscles to help connect the upper and lower parts of the body to keep the torso firm. Release that leg, come back down to the ground. Okay, other side. Left toes, lift up off the mat, spread those toes out, then drop them back down for a nice wide base. You can start in a hand position that works for you. Come up onto the toes of the right foot and turn the right knee out so the right heel rests against the left calf. And when you're ready, if you want today, you can keep your feet on keep your toes on the floor, or you can bring that foot up to the calf. Tighten those core muscles. Pull that right knee back. And release. Very good. Okay. Before you move back down to the mat, take a moment while you're in your mountain pose, eyes closed, stable foundation, firm footing, and take 3 of those deep yoga breaths, inhaling completely through the nose, filling the body with air, and exhaling forcefully through the mouth. Just let the hands come up together overhead, palms touch, then the palms turn away and we fold forward. Planting the hands and dropping down to your knees, and then coming down to the stomach. Letting the forehead come to the mat, toes and legs touch, hands under shoulders. Now, I'm going to invite you to move into Cobra. But if Cobra is too much for you today, feel free to stay in low Cobra, like we did earlier in the practice. Push the feet into the mat, knees come up. Begin to push into the hands. Some weight comes into the arms. We rise up, hips stay on the mat, and we release it, come down. Once again, Cobra or low Cobra if you choose. Push the feet into the mat, knees come up, weight in the arms. Feel that bend in the back, and release. Now, it might be my imagination, but I'm feeling a little more flexibility in my back now than I did earlier in practice. Let's do one more low Cobra, full Cobra, excuse me. Push the feet into the mat, come up, weight into the hands, hips on the mat, back bend, and we release. Now, we're going to move into Sphinx pose. In Sphinx pose, our forearms come out in front, our elbows are under our shoulders, palms face the ground. In Sphinx, typically, we're going to push the feet into the mat and we're going to push through the elbows and forearms and raise the chest up. But this time in Sphinx, what I want you to do is let everything relax. Let the legs be loose. You can let the head hang. The chest might actually feel like it drops down through the shoulders. And where I especially want you to feel some relaxation in those low back muscles. just stay here in this relaxed, soft position for several breaths. Okay. Cross the arms at the front of the mat. Bring the forehead down onto the arms. And bend both legs. Feet go up in the air. Soles of the feet face the ceiling. And begin to slowly windshield wiper feet or legs side to side. Let the legs come to stillness. Come back down to the mat. Bring the hands under the shoulders. Push back up into tabletop. Let the hips and back toward the heels. And then come up into a comfortable seated position. Swing the legs out and around. Then find yourself in Sukhasana, easy seated pose. Let the sitting bones settle in. Feel the crown of the head rise up, extending the spine. Bring the arms down by the sides. Raise the hands up overhead, palms come together. And as the palms come down, we're going to twist to the left, bringing the right hand to the left knee. And the left hand back behind the left hip, twisting to the left. Now, I don't want you to be pulling the knee with this right hand. It just rests gently on the knee. The work of the twist comes from those abdominal muscles. And come back to center, arms come high. And we twist over to the right side. Left hand comes to right knee. Right hand behind right hip. Make sure the crown of your head pulls up and that your spine is straight and that you're not tilted over with your shoulders pulling down towards the ground. That you're sitting up tall. Come back to center, arms come up high, and then down by the sides. Let's move into our bound angle pose, bringing the soles of the feet together. Hands can hold the feet, the ankles, the shins, whatever works. On an inhale, straighten everything, lengthen the spine, head goes up. And then as we exhale, we'll fold forward. Inhale, extend. Exhale, fold. Inhale, extend. Exhale, fold. You might have the capacity to do that another time or two, but you'll get to a point where you can't move any further forward. You can't fold more. And at that point, you have the option, if you choose, to let your head hang loose, let the neck relax. That'll add a little bit of weight to your fold. And as you're in this position and as you continue to breathe, you might find that with each exhale, you can actually fold a little further forward than you thought you could. Maybe not. Come back up and make your way down to your back. Let everything relax for several breaths. Feel the muscles loosen. Feel the body sink into the mat. Now, let's do one more little flow here that will, again, work our abdominal muscles a bit. Let the hands be face up, palms face the ceiling. Bend the knees, bring the lower legs parallel to the mat and cross the right ankle over the left. Now, extend both feet forward and then back. And once again, you'll notice forward and back. You'll notice that the distance you go forward is related to the amount of stress. Keep this forward and back motion going. The amount of stress or work that the abdominal muscles have to do. So you can choose how far forward to let your feet go. You might decide to let those feet go just a little bit forward and not very far. That's fine. That's what you need today, and that'll work your abs just perfectly. Try raising the hands up off the mat, and you may find that it's a little bit more challenging. And then come to stillness, let both feet come to the mat, backs of the hands come back to the mat. And the knees again, raise those legs up, this time cross left ankle over right. And continue our back and forth motion with the feet, working those abdominal muscles. Once again, you may find that you want to just move those feet a little bit. That's okay. Try lifting the hands off the mat. And come to stillness, let the feet and the hands come down to the mat. Before we finish for today, let's hug the knees into the chest. Hold them in tight. You might feel the tailbone lift off the mat a little bit. Gently rock side to side. Come to stillness. Let both feet come down to the mat. Extend the legs out long as we move into our final resting pose, Shavasana. While you're in Shavasana, eyes are closed, palms up, feet fall away. Breathing through the nose, inhaling and exhaling. And as we have so often today, focusing on the different parts of the body, noticing what muscles are tight that might be softened. Noticing where we can loosen muscles, maybe starting with the muscles around the eyes and the jaw. Relaxing the neck and shoulders. Softening the arms and chest. Relaxing the stomach muscles, which we worked a little bit extra today. Letting the upper legs and the lower legs sink to the mat. Softening the feet. May the sun bring you new happiness by day. May the moon softly restore you by night. May the snow wash away your worries, and the wind blow new strength into your being. May you walk gently through the world and see its beauty. Namaste.